If you feel initially sad, that's okay. Process that. And whatever I mean, because I'm going to say the stuff that people were like, oh my God, I don't care. If you need to grieve whatever you need to feel, to grieve your expectations of what you had in your mind about what your child would be like and your vision that you had, if you need to grieve that, then do that so that you can release that and receive this child that you have been blessed with.
Hey, it's Joy, and this is the Joy of Neurodiversity podcast. Here we break down stereotypes, celebrate the brilliance of different minds, and get real about what it actually means to be neurodivergent. Because at the heart of it all, neurodiversity isn't just a concept, it's people. It's lived experiences, challenges, strengths, and the stories that connect us. Whether you're here to learn, feel seen, or reimagine what's possible, you're in the right place. By pressing play, you're choosing to embrace a new way of thinking, one that honors every brain for what it brings. So settle in, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Joy of Neurodiversity podcast. I am Joy Buckner, and I'm so excited about today's episode. We are diving into a deeply personal and powerful conversation about motherhood, advocacy, and breaking the stigma around autism. I'm honored to have Royale Spann on today on the show. She is the most resilient, authentic, and inspiring mothers I know. She is a wife, a mother of 2 plus a bonus child, and a fierce advocate for her autistic son, Taylor. She's originally from Alaska, now living in Dallas, Texas, and she has navigated this journey with incredible strength, facing both joyous victories and some challenges. We first met at Hampton University. I'm not even sure I need to say how long ago we met at Hampton. About 30 years ago. Craziness. Maybe less than that. Definitely about 25 years ago. We met at Hampton University. And over the years, I've just had the privilege of watching her embrace the beauty of neurodiversity while standing firm, facing some judgments and misconceptions about what autism is, but really being authentic about her journey with her son. So in this episode, we're going to talk about what it truly means to raise an autistic child, the labels that society often puts on them, and the support systems that make all the difference. So I think that Royale's story is one that you're going to love because it's one of love, resilience, and advocacy. And I cannot wait for you to hear it. So let's get started. Royale, welcome to the Joy of Neurodiversity. I'm so glad that you are here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So there was we'll talk about it in a bit, but there was something that you posted on Facebook and I messaged you and was like, girl, I can't believe that someone came out their mouth and said this too. I'm starting a podcast. Will you please come on? Because we need to talk about this. But I have been watching your journey with Taylor. So the good, sometimes the shocking, but it's just so authentic. And I mean, I know I tell you this all the time, but when you first had Taylor, I was like, that is the most gorgeous baby I have ever seen in my entire life. And then you spat out the female version of him. The most beautiful children. I've never seen them. Like, they're blonde-haired, blue-eyed, gorgeous kids. And so much. To me, I just see a beautiful boy. I don't see an autistic child, and who cares? I mean, that's part of part of who he is. So if you can just introduce yourself and share a little bit about your family.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, Royale Spann, Mrs. Royale Spann.
Mrs. Royale Spann.
Mrs. Spann. Yes, I am. I am the queen of the Spann clan, as we call ourselves. We are the Spann clan. I Had Taylor, honestly, he was my blessing baby. Was told that I was dealing with infertility before having him, and so he was definitely a surprise and a beautiful one. And it has been such a journey. Prior to him, I was an auntie mom, but didn't have the experiences of obviously this an auntie mom. So my bonus, I have my niece who was with me before Taylor and is continuing with us now. She is my bonus child. But Taylor just came into the world just a big strapping boy, huge boy from the jump, like over almost 10 pounds,
Oh, wow.
almost 2 feet. Yes, almost 2 feet long. He looked like a top. But anyway, so beautiful, brilliant boy, sweet boy. And I have my daughter Jessie, who has they're literally 2 years and 10 minutes apart. You mentioned just from Alaska and all that, really just learning so much about myself and how to interact with the world around me through Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor has impacted us in such a beautiful way, and we just never really knew that we would even have this experience. We had no idea. And he has expanded our understanding about those that are differently abled
Mm-hmm.
and neurodivergent people, and even just how to identify it, because I don't think I knew before Taylor. And um, I, my experiences since we've moved to, well, even before Alaska, he's 5, by the way, he's 5. And so our experiences in the beginning started in Alaska, but really his development really has happened since we moved to Dallas, Texas. And I'm so glad that we have, because he's blossomed so much. So I don't know if that's gives an overview, but that's pretty much it. And we have I really tried to document my experiences, just trying to use social media in an informative way,
Yeah.
also being honest in my journey way, if that makes
Mm.
sense. About how once we knew what was going on with Taylor, and then how to, even just venting, but also learning and showing what I'm trying to do, because a lot of this I'm kind of learning as I go and learning how it works for Taylor, and he's letting me know by his responses and and how he's expressing himself more and more, what's working and what's not. And so this is a journey that we're on, and we've really just begun. So
Absolutely. And I don't remember if I gave the disclaimer, but her children, Taylor and Jesse, are sleeping. So it could be
yes,
that they wake up and they're just going to join the podcast, and that's the life of a mom, and we're fine with it.
thank you.
So we'll
Thank you,
see.
because
We will see.
I listen. Before I went back to work, I had an interview here just like this, and who rolled into my interview despite having Bluey on? Jessie, and she would not stop kissing me through my interview, and I think that was part of the reason why I got the job. So who knows? It
It's
might be great with one of them walking in.
we're just gonna roll with it. Listen. So if we can just go back to the moment where you first noticed that there might be something special about your son and what led to his autism diagnosis.
Well, I mean, in his first year, from what I have seen of my other kids, my niece and my nephew, standard infancy, just kind of, there was nothing different about his infancy experience that I know. Standard, even at first he was doing some talking. I'd say hi,
Yeah.
bye bye, bye bye. He started doing that, so there was really nothing that stood out in those experiences. Like the first year, we got to the second year, I did notice a little bit that he was really quiet,
Yeah.
but that was pretty much it. But that didn't, again, he's my one baby at the time. So I'm
Yes.
like, I don't have any information to know that things are different. And it's just me and David just kind of walking through life. My mother, had been passed on for some years, and she was a wonderful educator and someone that would have been kind of my canary in the mine to tell me, and
Maybe.
we would have
Yeah.
moved on it immediately. But it's just me and David trying to navigate being, newly married and also having our son.
Mm.
So that year 2, and I'm pregnant with Jesse. As I said, they're literally 2 years and 10 minutes apart.
Wow.
So before he's two, he's 19 months, 18, 19 months, you know, really not much talking, not much a whole lot of battling. Definitely playful, definitely loving, but you know, I didn't think anything of it. After we had Jesse, when he came back from being with my in-laws had him during that time, and we came home and they were like, "Hey, Taylor's not talking."
Mm.
And I didn't think anything of that, to be honest, because he hadn't really spent a whole lot of time with them. And so I imagine from the way that I rationalized was that he hasn't he hasn't been away from mommy and daddy ever
Yes.
for 5 days ever. And I imagine his little toddler coping mechanism is he's just playing, but he's quiet and he's just playing. He knows,
He
he's
shut
seen them before.
down. Like
Yeah,
he
he just shut down.
down.
That's
Yeah.
all that I'm thinking about this. But they're continuing to talk to me about it, say, hey, listen, we know what it looks like. I was immediately defensive. My response was not great.
Mm.
Admittedly so. Very much so, very sensitive about it. They're like, well, there's special education things out there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? How did we even get there
Yes.
off of not talking?
My perfect 2-year-old child, he's fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's
That's
fine.
natural.
He's going to talk when he's ready. Let's not go to special education yet. What are you talking about? Because for all intents and purposes, he's running, he's eating all the foods, eating your food. This beautiful, juicy boy. There's no indication that I can tell that I need to be concerned.
Yeah.
But after that conversation, I was pretty I didn't love that conversation, but he had also private in-home daycare by his godmother, who has been a long-time educator of kids for a while. And when she said,
okay,
hey, we need to get Taylor tested, is when I'm like, okay. I think the relationship part was good for me. I needed to hear that from her.
Okay.
And so we had thoughts about it, and we were looking into it, but we didn't know how. And she kind of got that started for us. And we took him in to sit with and do play therapy with a diagnostician and a psychologist and another therapist. And they sat with me at the same time. And while he's playing, which isn't anything different for me, but while he's playing, they're walking me through a questionnaire. And as I'm answering these questions, they're saying, it's becoming more real to me during that. And to be honest with you, I started to become, with every question, more sad. I started to, because I don't know. I'm starting to come to the realization that something is going on with my baby.
Yeah.
And this is real. And so at first I started to become very sad and I was grieved because I don't know anything about this. There's no one that I'm aware of except for a cousin who in another state who they just said he's autistic and he's autistic, period.
Full stop. He's
autistic.
That's it.
Yes, so he actually has the same name as my husband. His name is Taylor. Or same name as my son, Taylor. Taylor's autistic, period. That was all. There's no more information than I had to know anything more about it, to know how to interact. So that was it. So that was all that I had. So in going through that, they're saying, oh yeah, I think Taylor's on the spectrum. They're like, yeah, they're playing with him like he's showing signs of it right now. What? So that my mind was blown from that. And we had a lot of education that we needed to do. We had a lot of learning to do from that moment. It was a lot of, still a lot of crying, a lot of, we can't get him calm down. It takes a long time. She's screaming. After a while, not looking at you, realizing he's not looking at you.
So you saw these things after they were pointed out to you, and you were more aware of the fact that these were signs of autism. You started to notice more. I guess it's kind of like what is it called? Your RAS system in your brain. So you get a new BMW, and then all of a sudden you see every single BMW that's on the road.
Exactly. Right. That's me, literally.
And then all of a sudden your brain is like, okay, those are those are signs. So now you're starting to see. But I guess also it could be that one, it was brought up to you. You were a bit defensive. I probably would have been too. But then when someone who was trusted and someone who sees Taylor on a regular basis and sees him interacting with other students and has been around students his age says these things, then it's almost like this person, not that his grandparents don't know him, but like you said, they hadn't spent as much prolonged time with him. Seeing someone who knows him, who sees him on a regular basis, who he's comfortable with and is most likely showing his true authentic self to, having that person say, we're seeing some signs, that was a little bit easier to accept. But how did receiving the diagnosis change your understanding of your son and then your role as his mother?
It's wait, say that question one more. I want to process it a little bit more.
Okay.
Say that question a little bit more.
So how did receiving the diagnosis like change your understanding of your son at the time and what he was going through, and how your role as a mother was going to be when supporting him?
Well, I mean, so the things that I considered normal, because I'm starting to realize that this is how Taylor is, the things that I considered normal, I had to shift in realizing that actually it is a new normal under the guise of autism spectrum.
Thank you. And I'm so happy that you said that. I literally just wrote down normal because he is normal.
Yeah.
This is his normal.
Yes, his new normal. We just have what I realize that we have had, and what we have every day is that we have a better understanding of how to support Taylor and how to love him properly, and how to make him feel safe, more like better every day as we learn. And we have failed, like, because that, you also have, like, I grew up, my parents old school, like, because I said so. Get in there. Nah, and it was effective for me, but I am not Taylor. Taylor is not me.
No.
And so with everything that I have learned about being a parent, there are some things. My mother was a compassionate, firm but compassionate educator of us as her kids. Such a brilliant parent to so many people. And so her compassion is something that I have approached Taylor with more and more. Granted, the other part that I realized is at the end of the day, Taylor is also still Taylor. There's autism, and then there's also my stubborn baby.
Yes.
And that's the other thing is that, I think when people hear diagnosis, they automatically just wrap the whole child in that the personality goes away. It's all autism.
Yeah. No.
Yes, there's a spectrum, but my son also doesn't like broccoli or whatever. My son also is being shady and giving me the shady baby face. And those two things can be true.
It is his personality. It is not his autism. Exactly.
Correct.
And I think that I'm so happy that you said that because, as you said, I feel like you have an autism diagnosis and everyone thinks that autism is all consuming and he has no control over his brain. He has control over his brain. He has his personality. He has his likes, his dislikes. Sometimes he just doesn't want to do it. And it has nothing to do with him being autistic and everything to do with him being 5.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Everything to do with him being 5 and going through the developmental stages that he's supposed to be going to establish his independence and navigate the world and all of these things. And I'm so happy that you brought up that point that it is not always the autism. Sometimes he's just being Taylor.
Correct. That's the thing. But at first when you're with something like this, you're very, you're just trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure out who's my kid now. It's almost like you're being introduced, like you're actually formally being introduced to, this is Taylor. Like these are parts of Taylor. Okay. So now I know how to operate, or I think I know, I'm learning. Let's try some things to try to connect with him better. I'm still his mom.
Yeah.
He's still looking for love from mommy. He still has his way, of loving and what he wants from me. He also still going to push back in certain ways. He's going to need support in various ways, but he's still, as you said, my 5-year-old son. So, he's made me, when I had to let go of, and I still have moments of letting go of what Royal understands about raising kids from my parents, and how I was raised. And sometimes, it's in me, so it comes out. But I can look at the response.
Yes.
I look at how it lands on Taylor. And David is a amazingly compassionate man with our kids. Like, he's an amazing father on so many levels. And his I learned much more. My compassion grew from watching David and how he's able to reach Taylor. Even in Taylor when he's dysregulated, like beyond, and he's upset and I'm able to calm down. David is able to reach him and get him calmer faster. And so I've learned a lot from David, and also just being Taylor's mom, and just, learn just surrendering and just opening myself to learning from him.
This might be a good way for us to transition into, we talked about what is his personality versus what is the autism manifesting. But I also feel that there are so many societal judgments and misconceptions about autism, and so many challenges that come as a result of people just not understanding. And it's honestly why I wanted to start this podcast about neurodiversity in general, because there are so many myths and misconceptions and like misinformation out there, and I feel like people see, Rain Man and think that that's what every autistic existence is like. Yeah. There's a spectrum, and there's so much beauty to what it looks like, but it's very, very distinctive for every single person. So can you talk to me about what have been some of the most difficult moments or obstacles you faced as a parent navigating autism?
Well, I will say that I have to, when we're going various places, and with Taylor, it just depends. Like for him, I don't think that he loves crowds. He doesn't hate them. Like he doesn't become completely dysregulated, but he doesn't necessarily love them. And transitions are a tough thing for Taylor. Well, they have been. He's getting better, but they have been for him. And transitioning from one place to another, or from an activity to another, in the past has been really tough. And so some tough moments have been, we can't get him to calm down, and we're in a social setting. Yeah. We like baseball games, going to fairs and events. He's usually pretty good at events, but so in those moments when we can't get him to calm down, I have felt like a failure. Like I struggle with things that feel like a failure as a parent. I just gotta break down because I can't. I feel like, oh man, because I'm trying to get him to do something as opposed to, I don't know what the word is, or what the rest of my statement would be, but other than that, just realizing that my son needs comfort as opposed to trying to get him to be in a certain way in the environment so Royal can enjoy this moment. You know what I'm saying? It's Taylor more than the moment. And so but aside from that, is realizing that so when people don't know what to do, that says more about them than Taylor.
Yes.
And that was the thing. Before that, I would just, I think, in my ignorance, I would just say, he's just in a mood. It's okay. Just give him over. And they'd be like, I transferred that to people, in different settings. And they'd be like, okay, don't worry about it. It's a thing that we have. Like, I'm transferring this. He's in a mood. As opposed to equipping you with what Taylor needs so that you can be successful with him. Yes. Not that I don't know. I've approached it wrong in the past, and others, and how they have approached him in their ignorance has been as if to label him or to treat him like a child that's acting out and a bad kid. And that is, again, that's more so about them than him. And in some moments, it's, if it's people that we know, it's because we haven't given them the tools to be successful because we just didn't know. Yeah. And it's still at the intersection of how I was raised and what Taylor needs, and it's butting up against one another. And so those have been the challenges. But the biggest thing is lack of education and people just being exasperated with my son and offering up their solutions and their understandings of what they think I should do as a mom for Taylor, especially those that don't have kids or a child that is on the spectrum.
Yes, and telling you what it is that you're meant to do.
Oh, yeah.
And my whole thing is, don't know what's going on with a family behind closed doors or what they're dealing with. Don't come and give me opinions about what you think I need to do in my life. You can focus on yours. I'm not coming into your house telling you what you
For
need
sure.
to be doing. I can
For
only
sure.
imagine. And then on top of that, Taylor he's nonverbal, but he's getting more language now.
So he's at the intersection, like right at limited verbal to verbal, because he is now, man, I tell you, God is so good in looking at Taylor, because this little boy went from no talking to scream and cry
Mm,
to now, mommy, excuse me,
amazing.
mommy, excuse me, can I have a snack, please?
Well, I know that you said that he really has blossomed since you moved to Texas, but I can
Mhm.
imagine that the journey when he was not able to express himself verbally, so he really only had the option of expressing himself by
Yeah.
maybe what other people might see as acting out, but it was just him trying to get his point across as to what he needed.
hmm And the frustration, I can imagine that Taylor, I, he has calmed down so much since he's started to communicate more.
Mm.
Like it's just been like, because before I could just tell he was so frustrated. And it's not because of not having the words to say, like mentally, but
Yes.
for whatever reason, at that point, there was a disconnecting, from what he was thinking in his mouth, to be able to express himself. And now, he's become more calm. He's more so my chill baby as opposed to his sister.
Jesse is feisty. I can see
Oh
it and I love
Lord.
it. But I think that that's a testament to you and your husband with all of the work that you have done, the research, and we'll talk about next some of the supports and the resources that you have found to be really helpful. But
hmm
it is apparent to me as an onlooker that
hmm
you do all that you can to set him up for success and
hmm
give him those little incremental steps that he needs to be able to be
hmm
prepared to navigate the world in his special way. And
hmm
I just think back to at the beginning of the school year, I remember one of your posts and you were doing practice runs for the bus.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
was like, that's he was putting on his backpack. He was getting ready and you were talking him through everything that was going to happen. And I can only imagine that on the first day of school, he was like, I've done this. I don't
He
have
was
to be
much
worried about
better.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, in I don't know really what I was doing and doing that. That was just I literally thought of my mother in those moments just because she was that person. When she was little, my sister was just diagnosed with dyslexia, severe dyslexia, and she couldn't read. And so they said, well, she's never going to read, and we were going to put her in, whole special education, whole set with her, on a journey in that way. My mother, who was an educator, she wrote her a book, did the illustrations, and my sister has been a scholar ever since. And
Mm.
so that creativity to try things and to just to consider, like, let's try this and see if it works. That was really what I was doing. I was just testing it out and showing you guys what I was doing, and it seemed to work with him. He did actually pretty well. He missed us, he had there was a little bit of something, to be, understanding a new state, new school. He had a
Mm.
little bit of something, but overall, Taylor was much better for it, and I'm grateful for the moments that he indulged me.
Putting up
So
with why is this woman putting me in my school clothes and putting me on this bus a week ahead of time?
yes, Mama, there's no class.
No bus. It's not. We're just we're imaginary. We're imagining the bus. But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
to that end, I know that you have just a toolbox full of tools that work uh for your situation,
For
right?
Taylor, yes.
And we don't know if these things are going to work for everyone, but I'm a firm believer in sharing the love and sharing what works because someone else that's listening to this podcast might be having some of the same difficulties and would say, you know what, I like that idea. So what support systems, resources, coping strategies have helped you the most to help Taylor?
Well, to help Taylor, well, for one, let's just start if you think that your child, if you have a hunch, if you have a hunch about your son or your daughter that something's going on, I encourage you to go follow that up. Follow that up. Don't stay in a space of time. But because you don't lose anything by
No.
going to find out what's going on. Because if nothing else, it's like, oh no, this is a part of development. He's fine. She's fine. And they'll give you more tools to continue to support your child, whatever the level. If they're neurotypical or neurodivergent, you'll have some confirmation, and it'll help to settle you in whatever way. If you do have a hunch that something's going on, like I don't know, he just seems or she just seems, then go. I know for Taylor, we took him when he was 3. I mean, I think at 1 and 2, you don't really know, but at about 3, you can start to see like, all right, take him in, take her in, and to the school district, your local school district, or reach out to them and discuss your concerns. And I'm sure they'll set up something where you can get some information. They can do some play therapy, and I think even though that hurt to do, it helped so that we knew where our journey really began, and to start to equip ourselves with how to support him. We also got a family coach. We reached out to various resources. Since we moved to Dallas, so many more resources available. And so we reached out to they have family coaches. We had a family coach that came to our home every 2 weeks and was educating me on how to help Taylor with potty training, to those difficult moments, like different tools. Gosh, I can't remember the name of it because I have a whole packet of
We can
information.
think about it in like when
I'll think about it.
We'll put it into the notes for you, the show
Sure.
notes. Yeah.
Sure, but and they helped me to learn about how to build up transitional stories, like storylines for Taylor to see, animated storylines. Okay, Taylor, we're gonna do this, and then we're going to do this. Okay, and then we're going to do this, and it helped him. It gave him milestones to reach for. So when we did this one thing, okay, we check that off. Okay, we're on to the next thing. It helped him to feel empowered. It helped me to feel like I'm preparing him for the next moment, and then for the moments where he's blowing up, don't try to stop it. Do you know what I'm saying? He has these big emotions, and if nothing else, I can hold my baby. For Taylor, he needs to go away in his room and breathe for this, and I let him.
Yep.
Because he'll come back, and when he comes back, there's so much love. And other than that, I am loving on Taylor. Taylor has been smothered in hugs. He's smothered in kisses. That little boy is loved constantly. And I just try different things with him. I just try little words. Like, try different things. Just because, he started out nonverbal doesn't mean Taylor, cup. Did you say cup? Cup. Okay, perfect. High five. And we just build from there. And then if he started with water, please, that's wonderful. Then we build up that. Have some more. We've taken this thing piece by piece. And, his sister, Jessie, being in his life, has impacted him so much more, and that she has brought compassion and so many other things to his life that has just helped him grow in ways socially. I don't know whether it would have happened so fast.
Yes, absolutely. I've always said this. Kids are the best teachers for kids. They just know what to do and how to approach things. And to her, that's her big brother. She's just interacting with her big brother. That's it.
Yes, and sometimes she's his spokesperson, which is hilarious. But yes, mommy, Taylor, you want fries? Say yes, yes. Mommy, Taylor wants fries.
My father had that connection with his younger brother, who just had a difficult. No one could understand him when he was younger, and he said my father said he would be so upset, like. He said he wanted so-and-so. What do you mean? Like he would translate. I know that you have found so many resources and support within the school, within the community with Taylor. But when you think about the connections that you have with other parents in the autism community. What have those connections done for you?
Oh man, I have found solidarity and honestly, because I have, so there's actually she's Hampton alumni,
Mm.
and she lives in the area. Her name is Nakoa Merritt, and she has a son who is also who is also, what did I say? What was it was differently able. That's right. I was like, 'cause I don't like specially,
I agree.
but differently able. Yes, differently abled, and she is navigating through that journey as well. She has twins,
Oh,
and
wow.
so yeah, so she's walking through that journey, and she has been um we got our own things going on, but such an encouragement to me as I'm walking along this journey. Since I have been expressing myself through videos and such, um, so many people came out, like called me, texted me. I have another person that, another Hampton person, Ryan Goldman, he has a plethora of people. He is steeped in the community with regards to autism spectrum, as he has a son who also is on the
I need to
spectrum.
have I need to have him on as well,
Yes,
because
you
the
do.
work that he does
Ryan
with his
Goldman.
son, yes, he is
Oh,
such an amazing voice within the autism community, and I know that he's probably the best
absolutely.
and just a great person. Ever since
Absolutely.
ever since Hampton, he was just always so much fun with his magic tricks and what have you that he would always
Oh, yeah.
do.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah. Oh yeah. There's so many great memories. But he reached out to me like, Royal, listen, do this, this, this. Hey, reach out to this person for this. I can see if I can find, like, people were reaching out and rallying on my behalf, which I appreciated, and also just affirming me as a parent, and also helping me to just to know that this journey with Taylor, like, he's unlike any other kid. He's my unique Taylor. He's my baby. And we're walking this journey together. Yes, it's a spectrum because it's an umbrella. Not every kid is, Rain Man, as you said.
mm,
Taylor, Taylor's not Rain Man. Taylor is Taylor.
yes.
And how I connect with him and how we support him, is specific to his needs. And I need to be, definitely taking in the information like Ryan and Nakoa. But there were two sites that I went to. There was one, autismspeaks.org,
Yes.
um, which gave me some information on, the affirming or confirming the diagnosis, what that looks like, you know, how to, like, what are some common things that they see, some various things where you can give, how you can get involved more with Autism Speaks. And then there's another one, the Black Autism, gosh, I can't remember the full name, but it was like Black Autism Society or something like that.
Okay. I'll look it
That
up.
that somewhat speaks to the intersection between race and neurodivergence,
Mm,
which was interesting.
absolutely.
I talk about various things. I mean, because when we get there, we start talking about other things. It opens up to other things to be concerned about as a parent. Like, when Taylor's 15, you know, so, he is an interracial child, but that's still my black boy.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
still my mommy's brother black boy. So with that, I still have to prepare him and equip him for interacting with police and how he interacts so that they understand. And, that's another thing is not there's some of the other agencies that don't know what that looks like. And I hope that the world, particularly agencies like the police department and things like that, continue to engage and educate themselves on what to look for, so they know what they're dealing with when they're dealing with an adult on the spectrum,
Yes.
so that that lives are preserved, and how we interact is in a way that's respectful and things like that. So those are things I'm thinking about. AutismSpeaks.org was one, and the other one I said, Black Autism Society. Those are helpful, but honestly, just his godmother and others that, I have an educator that's in my church that has come alongside me
Yes.
to help me. Those have been the biggest sources of wisdom and encouragement for me, is the people that have just come right alongside.
And I know that you are a woman of strong faith and you really
Yeah.
do pull on your church community. So I love that you're able to have that support within your church. But I
Mm-hmm.
also know that you really advocate for when you are at church, people understanding how do you deal with your autistic child, because you still want him. You know, you and I both grew up in the Black churches.
Yes, yes, yes,
You were you
absolutely.
were there all day, and
Yes.
you were in Sunday school, we're in usher
Mm-hmm.
board, we're in choir,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we those are experiences that are really embedded in who we are and how we've been raised. And just because your child is autistic does not mean that he shouldn't have the exposure to all of those things that really enriched our lives and continue. And I know that you and your husband are faithful
Mm-hmm.
believers,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that
Yeah.
he is as well. And so you're raising a child that's going to maybe acquire that knowledge differently and
Mm-hmm.
process that differently, but it doesn't mean that he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to be exposed to that. So I'm so happy that you found a church home that
Mm-hmm.
supports Taylor and what he needs to do,
Mm-hmm.
but also is open to saying, listen, this is the way that we need to approach my child. And these are some of the structures and strategies that we might need to put in place so that he can feel at home in church when he comes.
Right, and I'd like to speak to that. I really oh man, I am growing more and more. This is a journey. This is me, this is for life. This is this is my son. This any of my
Yeah.
so, you're learning as you go, and I have a heart. I feel more and more that I have a heart for the opportunity, taking on the opportunities to educate, particularly at the intersection of faith and neurodivergence, because that is an area that there is more growth that is needed
Yeah.
with how to reach, our kids, that are differently abled
Yes.
for God. That's another area, and I am now currently working in tandem with the leadership at my church and the youth department to be able to explore ways like how do we reach Taylor? How do we reach, because there's going to be more kids like him,
Yes.
and every kid represents a family. And if you reach that child, you have the potential to continue to have families that stay rooted. And so it's a legacy that you have
Yes.
that continues to grow in that environment. And so Taylor is teaching us how to reach him. Taylor, particularly, he responds very well to music
Mm.
and different beats. So I found, and for example, they're teaching kids, different scriptures. And I just started putting to the way that they had the words out, different beats to each part of each segment of the scripture.
Mm.
And he connected with that. He started doing the beat and adding the word. And, God is love.
Yes.
Hey, God is love. Hey, God is love. It becomes a song that stays. And my baby sings the songs of yes, Jesus loves me, because he's got something to work with and
Yes.
he found a way to connect. So we're in the midst of that right now. There are larger churches that we've experienced that have growing neurodivergent ministries that reach kids. For the ones that are growing in that particular area, or there's a need for the parents that have the ability to do so, we gotta take this opportunity, it's a beautiful opportunity to enrich their language, to enrich their education,
Yes.
so that when you do bring your kid, you can rest in leaving them there, right there, and going in and you enriching your own religious education,
Mm.
so that, but equipping them with the tools to not only just tolerate him,
Yes.
but to reach him.
Absolutely. And I just think that you are opening doors to so many parents who might be sitting at home because they don't want to deal with what happens if their child is vocalizing or not able to
Mm-hmm.
regulate, and they're staying home when they really need community that they can find within a place like a church home. So I love that you're doing that. I know that you're
Oh yeah.
about 4 minutes away from having to wake Taylor up for school. So
Oh yeah. I lost my time because I've been
watching
throwing
the clock, and
myself.
I'm watching the clock. So I guess we can just wrap up with two more questions. What is,
Sure.
if you can share a piece of advice with a parent who it might be feeling overwhelmed with an autism diagnosis, what would that advice be?
Well, I would say that it's okay. And if you feel initially sad, that's okay. Process that. And whatever because I'm going to say the stuff that people were like, oh my God, I don't care. If you need to grieve whatever you need to feel, to grieve your expectations of what you had in your mind about what your child would be like and your vision that you had, if you need to grieve that, then do that so that you can release that and receive this child that you have been blessed with, like all that they are.
Yes.
All that they're, and release that so that you can begin the open journey of you learning and them also showing you what they need. Because oftentimes the children are the teachers and we are the students. And we definitely equip yourself and get alongside those that have, experience with the autism spectrum, but understand it's a spectrum and learn where, if your child falls on the spectrum, learn where your child is under that umbrella. And you're going to fail sometimes.
Yes.
You're going to have moments where I didn't get that right. And that's just parenting. That's just parenting.
You
It's not any different
forward. You fail forward.
Yes.
Like there's
Correct.
so
You
much
fail forward.
There's so much that
Yeah.
like learning that comes from failing, and that's okay. I say
Yes.
to parents all the time, you're all going to mess up your kid. As long as you fall within the normal range of messing them up, you're good. Stay in that range. Stay in
No.
that range.
Normal range of failing.
You're gonna be fine. Okay. As we wrap up.
So that's my answer to that. Just be kind to yourself. Self-care is important. Know that, and the community part is important, but make sure that that as you learn about your child, you educate them and equip them to support your child.
Yes.
And support you. So yeah, and then get alongside people and just know some things until you get it together, until you guys learn what works. Some things you're not going to be able to do until you figure it out.
Absolutely.
And maybe you'll revisit it. But that's okay.
I love that. So the last question before I have you go and run and wake those babies up. I'm always so impressed that they sleep this well.
Yeah, I'm been blessed in that way. My kids are out, child.
They are like out for the count. I love it. But if you can think about it, and this is the one question that I ask every guest that comes on my podcast, what joy has neurodiversity brought to your life?
Oh my goodness. Oh, my son, my baby, he has expanded my compassion. He is, oh my goodness, he has helped to wipe the slate clean in becoming the mom that he is. Not who my mom was, not who my dad was or is, but that I am the woman for the job for my baby. Yeah. And that oh gosh, what is it taught me? It's taught me great compassion and also the responsibility that I have in empowering the world, or empowering those around me to get to know Taylor and how to connect with him.
Yeah.
I have more power than I realize. And that don't put limits on him because he might blow your mind.
Yes.
About where he is. He might blow your mind, and go with it. And don't put him in a box because Lord, he might bust out that box and go from no talking to mommy, may I have a snack? Excuse me, may I have a snack?
And he's going to do so much more. And I look forward to just continuing to watch his journey. I love that you bring us along with you through your social media posts. I can say with absolute certainty that you are a superhuman autistic mother. Superhuman. And I
Thank
know that
you.
you work so hard for all of your kids, but are the fiercest advocate along with your husband for Taylor, and he is truly blessed to have you. And we have been so fortunate to have you on the podcast, sharing your stories and telling us a little bit about your experience. I know that it's going to touch so many people, so many lives. You've given some amazing tips for us to hold on to, and I just want to encourage you to continue your advocacy work, continue to educate and humanize what autism looks like, and for everyone to see that it is different in everyone, and that's okay. But I cannot thank you enough for coming on the Joy of Neurodiversity. I will speak to you about who, because I'm sure people are going to want to get in contact with you, but I also want to be cognizant that we're not putting your email and everything out in these internet streets
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I'm sure people are going to be asking about how they can get in touch with Royal. So I will speak to her and put information into the show notes about where you might be able to reach her. But beyond that, thank you so much. Go and wake those babies up. And I really appreciate
Thank you.
on.
Absolutely. Joy, thank you so much for having me. And this honestly has been fun talking about my little boy. So,
I've
all
loved doing
right.
it. I've loved doing it. Thank you so much. And to everyone listening, I hope that you took something away from this podcast that you can use and hold on to. And for more amazing stories like this, make sure to subscribe and tune in to our next episode of The Joy of Neurodiversity. Thanks so much. And that's a wrap for this episode of The Joy of Neurodiversity. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, empowered, and seen. Remember, neurodiversity isn't something to fix, it's something to celebrate. If you loved this episode, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a review. It truly helps more people find this space of understanding and joy. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. And let's keep the conversation going. Connect with me on Instagram at Joy of Neurodiversity and LinkedIn at Joy Buckner, and share your thoughts using the hashtag The Joy of Neurodiversity. New episodes drop every Thursday, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next dose of neurospicy brilliance, deep dives, and empowering conversations. Until next time, embrace who you are, celebrate how you think, and keep rewriting the narrative, because the world needs your brilliance. Think big, be bold, and never dim your neurodivergent spark, because we were never meant to fit in.